Manchester United still have not managed to collect back-to-back victories under Ruben Amorim. Of the 17 ever-present Premier League teams since he was appointed, Manchester United rank 15th. They've picked up 1 point more than Tottenham, and they are level on points with the next worst, West Ham United, who have got an extra game which comes tonight. Then come Wolves. The other point to make is that Wolves have changed their manager, West Ham have changed their manager, Tottenham have changed their manager as well, and then a big gap to Fulham and Everton. So that's the context of his performance as Manchester United manager. And then you look how he's compared with other Manchester United managers since Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge. And many of these haven't been considered successful, but look at the start that he's made from those first 33 games. He's almost on we almost need another screen to put him on. The margins are absolutely huge, which is why there is so much concern, it feels right now, amongst Manchester United supporters. And here's another one, and this is for even wider context. When you talk about other managers in Premier League history who've been given 33 games and having been appointed in existing Premier League clubs, there aren't actually that many. So we've taken out promoted managers. There aren't many who've performed like this. And at the bottom of that list is Steve Keane with Blackburn, 29 points. Roberto Martinez with Wigan. I think this is relevant as well. The clubs they've been in charge of. Dave Merrington at Southampton. Egil Olsen, the Norwegian. You'll remember at Wimbledon. Ozzy Ardiles didn't have a great start at Spurs either. I think, Duncan, you were involved.
I was involved in the 98, 99 one. To be fair, I think I got sold then. I got sold to Newcastle around about 1998, if I remember right.
So of those managers who've been appointed to existing Premier League clubs, he is one of the worst over this time period.
Yeah.
Do you think that the club is particularly relevant here?
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Let's be fair, he's a lucky boy still to be in a job. I think he's got a bit of credit on what he did last year, coming to Man United when they were struggling a wee bit. So he came last year, he didn't really want to come last season. So I think they've given him a wee bit of credit in the bank there. But look, for a team like Man United, you see the stats there, the stats are for there, they always see. So he's very lucky to stay in his job. But hopefully he gets another few games, you know what I mean? Because we always want the managers to stay in their jobs and be successful. But it's not good enough, is it?
Well, it's Sunderland next, and then it's the international break. Why do you think he is still in a job?
I think he's still in a job because I think the powers that be and Manchester United have made that many mistakes so far in decisions that they've made on and off the pitch that they almost don't want to admit right now that they've made another. And this has been a disaster for Manchester United, but also Ruben Amorim. What he did at Sporting Lisbon was fantastic. You know, he looked like the next big thing as a manager, but bringing a manager like that in terms of the system that he played, I don't think ever really suited the club of the traditions of Manchester United. And the quicker Manchester United make the decision on the manager, I think it's better for everybody, because as I said, it's been a disaster for club, but also the manager. And we're only waiting for the inevitable, I think. Unfortunately, as Duncan's just said, you don't want to see people lose their jobs, but this has to end as quickly as possible.
Is that group of players better than it is looking?
I think so. I think they are. But I think maybe it's the system. You know, maybe he talks about the system a lot, doesn't he? He's not changed the system at all. He's not trying to find a way. When you're losing games, you've got to find a way to win. You just can't keep on going out with the same system all the time. So you need to try and find a way to win. And he's never done that. He's stuck to the same system. He needs to change it a little bit. Maybe going to a back four. Go back more traditional Manchester United. But to be fair, when they recruited them in to play this formation.
100%.
They knew what they were getting.
They knew what they were getting. They wanted that formation. They wanted that style of play, and they've got that.
I think you're right. I'm big on that. I mean, I've never been one of them saying he has to change his system. A lot of managers speak and say, I've got a certain the system might change, but my style doesn't. His baby is his system. It's like asking Jurgen Klopp not to press or Pep Guardiola not to play short passes through the middle of the pitch. This is what he is. That's on Barada or Jason Wilcox or Jim Ratcliffe. They brought him in. Talking about him changing centre-backs, a stat came out that he changed in his 49 games, 42 times he's changed the back three. He did that at Sporting Lisbon. You knew that when he came in, the powers that be. So that's the big problem there. But the problem, I think, when you look at Ruben Amorim, I think every other Premier League manager would look at Manchester United and think, I could do a better job than that. And the only positive for Manchester United is they haven't gone all in on his system. They've gone all in on him in terms of giving money to spend, but they haven't brought lots of centre-backs, they haven't brought lots of wing-backs. The players they brought in the summer can easily be flipped into a back four, getting Bruno Fernandes as the number 10, Brian Mbeumo right wing, maybe Cunha to the left, Sesko up front, and I think a competent football manager could get that Manchester United team in that system to the European places, or certainly fighting for them.
We asked our fans, again, on the Finalysis app, those verified Manchester United fans, to answer this question on whether he should be given more time. And actually, 46% still say, yes, he should. How does this play out, Duncan, if he continues to play the same way, the same tactics?
Well, obviously he's hoping that the results are going to change, aren't they? But look, these records suggest that they're not going to change. So unfortunately, if he doesn't get the results, he's going to lose his job, isn't he? It's as simple as that. He's going to lose his jobs. I think the 46% of them are Liverpool fans there who voted. I've just got that in there.
I can tell you they're not. They're all verified Manchester United fans. And I suppose this is something about Manchester United. They do like to stick with a manager, don't they?
Listen, there has been a lot of change. We've just highlighted some of those managers, but it wasn't a case where the club were changing managers every 6 months or 12 months. A lot of those managers that we looked at there, Jose, Louis van Gaal, even Ollie, you're talking 2 or 3 years, and I think that's a decent enough amount of time for a manager. But Ruben Amorim's probably not been in the job for 12 months yet, but it couldn't have gone any worse. And I feel for him, he's a young manager, he's had a great start in his managerial career. What he did was really special at Sporting Lisbon. But those results for a club of that stature is just beyond belief. And as I said, you don't want to see anybody lose the job, but I think it's just better for everybody if they shake hands and move on.
What is going on at Man United? This is not Man United. Man United haven't won back-to-back games for I don't know how long.
Since January.
There needs to be. I think there needs to be a clear message from the owners. Whether that's the Glazers, whether that's Ratcliffe, there has to be a message of where this club is going, because at the minute we're all sitting there waiting for it to crumble.
Well, even last week I said I'd lost faith in the manager, and you were telling me to stay positive. But it's like even.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to give you all heads up.
He did just say just enjoy the win because I don't.
No, I know. But
that.
it's hard when you even in a game where you win, you still see things where you're like, if it was another day, we're going to lose. And then lo and behold, the Brentford game happened, and it's just the same things keep happening again.
Who is this team?
Yeah,
and like. If you said to me, like, Diego, there's a blank piece of paper, give me an identity, show me what this team is, what it means, I would not have a clue what to put down. And I'm not seeing anything which is giving me any confidence that that's going to change. There needs to be changes, there need to be big changes, in my opinion.
OK, Manchester United, it was another grim day yesterday at Brentford. There's no escaping that. It feels like we're just on a loop, asking the same question week after week. So there you are, the floor's yours. Where are you at with it all?
I'm very, very worried. Very, very worried. I think we needed yesterday, because yesterday was going to put into context the Chelsea game. You know, if United go and win yesterday and do well, the Chelsea game becomes, okay, it started against Chelsea. Yesterday, the performance that we saw and the result that we saw means that you feel that the Chelsea game was skewed by sendings off and 10 men and all those other things. So you start to look at Chelsea less positively, and that's just football. So I think we needed yesterday. I think there are a lot of United fans coming out of that ground last Saturday, including me. I was at the game against Chelsea thinking, right, okay, Brentford and Sunderland, Brentford away, Sunderland at home next week. There's a real opportunity here to get 9 points on the board on the bounce, and then you'll be well up there with it being at the start of the season, in the top 6 or 8 probably. But yesterday was a really poor performance and a real worry. Going into a little bit more detail, I felt yesterday for the first time, just through instinct, watching it on the television, seeing players' faces, seeing players' body language, that there might be an element of players really doubting the system and what's going on. Because there was something that happened in that game yesterday that I mentioned on my podcast 2 or 3 weeks ago that I said we couldn't see again. Do you remember after the Grimsby game in midweek, and I can't remember what game United played at the weekend after it, but we did the podcast on here, and I said that Mason Mount ended up at left wing back. There's sticking to your plan, and there's your coach that's got an idea, and making sure that he delivers that idea and not flip-flopping with his idea with players, which can sometimes undermine what you're trying to achieve. But then when you're putting Mason Mount at left wing back, and he's ended up at left wing back again yesterday in the last 5 minutes of the game, it starts to look awful. Let's be really clear. And the other thing that I've said, and I said it under Ten Hag towards the end, he keeps changing his back four. That's what I used to say under Ten Hag, because he didn't play with the back five. Kept changing his back four, his centre-backs. Look, Arsenal have changed their centre-backs today, so I'm conscious that it can happen. But yesterday, there was a shot of Shaw and Maguire on the bench, I think maybe 5-10 minutes from the end of the match, and they deserve to be on the bench, by the way. I've got no problem with that. But he changes his back three or his back five every single match. Yoro comes on, Yoro comes off. Yoro starts, Yoro doesn't start. De Ligt comes on, De Ligt comes off. Maguire comes off, Maguire stays on. Shaw usually stays on, but sometimes he comes off. Dallow's off, on. You cannot continually keep changing your back three and back five. It's impossible. I mean, that is the sort of part of the pitch where you need reliability and you need continuity to build relationships. So, Ruben Amorim's had a pre-season. He's had a week now in between each of his games nearly, or most of the weeks, because Manchester United aren't in Europe. Yet the performances are as poor as ever. The results are catastrophic, really, in Manchester United terms. The money that's been spent has been big. And there are some things that I'm seeing that are a massive worry, and some things that can't happen. You can't put Mason Mount at left wing back. I'm sorry, it just can't happen. I can't watch Mason Mount play left wing back in a football team. I struggle at times to watch him in his position, but actually putting him out there on the left wing or left wing back is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So I am very, very concerned. I really am, because the manager's obviously a good coach. He's had a great record in Portugal, but it's not clicking at all. It's not clicking. And the thing is, for me, when I said just before, maybe I didn't finish what I was going to say, but it looked to me like the players and the idea are not connecting at all. You could just see their body language in their faces. And yeah, a problem. It's a big problem.
So what next?
I think when it gets to this point, you've got to see what happens next Saturday against Sunderland. I think you've got a game at home against Sunderland, and Sunderland, as we know, are obviously in decent form. But if that game goes against Manchester United, you're going to start seeing very, very, very big questions being asked of the ownership. Big questions. They've brought a young manager in. He's played a completely different system. They've invested in a completely different system. They brought Dorgu in and they brought other players. And if they were to be 14th, 15th, 16th in October, which was where I said at the start of the season, if Manchester United are where they were last season in October, it's not a one-off. It becomes what you are. And it becomes a pattern. And then managers come under huge pressure. We've seen what's happened with Graham Potter in the last few days. So, look, that's why I'm worried. That's why I'm worried, because this is not going to go away and it's going to build in this next week or so. And I think that a victory is needed more than ever at Old Trafford on Saturday against Sunderland.
Wayne Rooney, Gary Neville, and Jamie Carragher have all taken aim at Ruben Amorim, and the pressure on Manchester United's manager is mounting fast. Rooney didn't mince his words, warning that it's hard to see how it continues under Amorim's leadership, casting doubt on his future. Neville echoed the concern, questioning Amorim's rigid tactics and admitting the club looks stuck rather than moving forward. Then came Carragher, who blasted Amorim's bizarre comments about United being the worst in history, calling them not only ridiculous, but damaging. What started as excitement around Amorim's bold ideas is quickly turning into frustration from fans and pundits alike. These are not casual voices. They're some of English football's most influential analysts, and their words carry weight. When legends start circling, the manager's seat begins to burn hotter. For Amorim, every decision now feels like a battle for survival at Old Trafford.